Good morning, Coach, and welcome to episode Red Zone Report, episode number 3. I'm with Coach Alex Surprenant of the McGill Redbirds. Welcome. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
So let's review last week. Um, Friday, August 30th, 7 p.m., Université de Laval, Stade Tellis. We talked about it last week being a measuring stick game. I think that was the perfect term for it. Let's start with your offense. We let's just attack the game last week as a whole. The Université de Laval came out firing. They came out as if they had just stepped off the field from the national championship game. They had the extra week off for preparation. They were firing on all cylinders right away. We struggled at first. We eventually got things going. Your impressions first on your offense, Coach.
Yeah, so offensively, I think that we really had a tough time to execute properly, and I mean two things by that. First, our quarterback needs to be more accurate on certain throws. Laval had a plan to load the box, especially on 1st and 10, which is allowing us to have some one-on-one situation outside. But in that case, you need to do two things. First, you need to be accurate with the ball to give a chance to your receiver to catch it. And second, when the ball is there, then the receiver needs to catch it, right? So it sounds pretty simple, but that's what you need to do. And then, of course, when you play against a top team like Laval, you won't have 5 yards of separation on those defensive backs. Those guys are pretty good, so you need a high level of execution, and it was absolutely not there for basically the entire first half. And defensively, I think that for us it was kind of the other way around. Where shout out to Arnaud Desjardins and the offense of Laval, their execution level was amazing.
He
I
was
think it
near
was like
perfect. I think
I
didn't he
think it was
start
like
15 for 15? Like
yeah,
it was crazy.
something like that. So I would say that probably that the defensive struggle were kind of different. Where for us with Coach Max, having spoke to him a lot, like it was more misassignments. So for me those. So the lack of execution and lack of focus for assignment can be the result of maybe probably a bit of nerves and some young guys. There's two things. So we have older guys on the team that are not used to have higher expectations too much, right? And we spoke about it during our first team meeting early August. I think that everyone within the building and outside the building have higher expectations for our team, and for us, as I mentioned on that very first meeting, I said pressure is a privilege, right? So we need to embrace this, and I think that we had some vets that were kind of putting a bit too much on their shoulders for no reason. At the end of the day, we're just playing ball, right? We're not saving lives. We're not trying to go on the moon. We're not doing something really complicated. It's only playing ball, right? So when you feel those nerves, you gotta put that in perspective and remind yourself that you're only playing a game, right? So and for the young guys, of course, we saw also a couple of mistakes, but for them, it's understandable in the sense that it was their first road game. There were 16,000 fans, and it's a night game. There's some parachutes guys landing on the field while the national anthem is finishing. It was a nice setup, right? So like I said last week, I'm really glad that we had that opportunity early in the year. Now the guys, that's probably like it's gonna be one of the biggest, if not the biggest crowd they're gonna see all year. So that's a good experience for everyone, and I think that we having a short week in front of us, we just need to focus now on Concordia.
Yeah, good for you, Coach. Good for you. Yeah, of the 52-man roster, you had 23 freshmen dressed versus 5 for Université de Laval. So, like you said last week, measuring stick game. They all got to experience that early this season. Be interesting to see what happens. Come if the growth is there throughout this season.
Yeah, yeah, and to
Yeah.
and to add on that, I had a journalist asking me a question after the game, said asking me if I was disappointed because people were hoping that we can play those guys with in a tighter game and something like that, and my answer was I'm disappointed for the people who's kind of bored to have the same two teams every year in the final. And I can understand that people is excited about a program, excited about the fact you have all those new no new players, a lot of new talent. But we won't. Rome was not built in one day, right? So we won't be
Amen.
we
Yeah.
won't. It's not a switch that we can just flip and suddenly we became a national powerhouse in a couple of weeks, right? So there's a lot of work to do with that. There's a growth process, and we're right in the middle of it, and that game was great for that.
Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Well said. Just flipping over to the defense a little bit. Philippe Couteau was Gill Player Athlete of the Week. Sorry. Um, he had seven solo tackles, four assisted tackles. Terrific game from him. You're going to need that leadership back there. He's, like you mentioned, Arnaud Desjardins was on fire or to start the game and throughout the game, really. I think he's 25 for 28 for the whole
Mm-hmm.
game, which is reminiscent of Phil Simms and the Giants in the Super Bowl, but it was near perfection. Um, Schematically, your coaches, it's a growth opportunity for everyone. When we look at that, you look at Desjardins finding guys open, finding guys in schemes and man to man, wherever. Are your coaches able to sort of grab that and learn from it at the same time while they're teaching all those freshmen out on the field and is scattered in with the veterans?
Yeah, for me defensively, we got to start by doing what Coach Max is asking first. And when we're going to have 12 players on the field doing the same thing without a misassignment, then we'll see if Arnaud is still 25 for 28, right? So for me, it's doing what you have to do during your job first defensively. Shout out to Phil Bouteau also for his defensive performance. Phil is a young captain coming from McCallie, so he's a second-year player at 20 years old only, which is younger than the usual CJ player. So he's been doing well, and he's an important player for us.
Speaking of McCallie, if we can just touch on that for a little bit of a Quebec pipeline down there to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and you met Baylor as well, and a bit of a Quebec pipeline now coming back.
Yeah.
Talk to me a
So
little bit about
yeah.
McCallie there.
For a couple of years now, we see more and more kids coming out of Quebec high school trying to shoot their shot at the prep school level in the states, and even some high schools. I think that in the NIL era that we are right now, there's a lot of people who see this as a big opportunity to maybe have a chance to land a good offer from a top school in the NCAA. So for us here at McGill, it's not a terrible thing in a sense that we like to recruit in CJEPs, no doubt about that. But now those kids in prep schools, I think that the thing that I appreciate is when they go in that type of uh, of setup around them. I think they respect they respect the academic a bit more when they're coming back. So usually guys that are going to prep when they're coming back, dog, they know more about the importance of picking a good school and stuff like that. So, which is of course fitting with what Miguel is all about. So we pay a lot of attention on those Canadians because it's not only guys from Quebec but Canadians that are playing prep right now. Our left tackle, we spoke about. McCallie and Baylor, but let's not forget our big left tackle, Thomas Gingras, 19 years old, starting, coming from Williston. So more in the I think it's in New Hampshire, Connecticut, not too sure. So in the northeast of the states. So that's another good example of a guy after that coming back in Quebec, but with giving a lot of importance to academics, which is totally fitting what we're looking for.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, this week, Friday, September 5th, 7 p.m. at Concordia Stadium, otherwise known as Loyola. Last year, excuse me, you got a bit of a taste of the McGill Concordia rivalry. The final game of the year was huge there versus Concordia. Big W for our squad. Moving into this week, first of all, let's talk about the compressed week you've got. You played Saturday night. You're now going Friday night. D- ha- Talk a little bit about your scheduling and how you're going to have to deal with that tight schedule this week.
Yeah, so whatever level you're part of, when you have a short week, it's always a challenge. We see it in the pro. We had a 5 days week last year, just before that homecoming game win against Concordia. So
Hmm.
this year again against them, but now it's 6 days. I should probably say 5 days and a half, because we came back at probably 2 a.m. I would say Sunday morning from that Quebec City trip. So it's a short week. And now the big difference for the people to understand is now we don't have a rest day at all. So usually we give a day off to the guys. The only thing that they have to do is, if they're banged up, they need to check in they need to come in for the med check. But other than that, it's usually a day off. So no day off this week. So Sunday, 5 days before the game, is what we call day zero, which is correcting the game. Now the challenge for the coaches coming back at 2 a.m. After that, we had to correct our game and right away prepare the day one game plan for the very next day. So for us on day one, we work on first and 10, we work on second and long. So it means that by the end of Sunday, the day of Sunday, we had to correct the game and prepare all that part for the very next day. So after that, day one, like I said, was Monday, where it was a 2 hours and a half practice. Yesterday was Tuesday was day two, where we had another 2 hours and a half a day. Now it was more second and short, red zone, backed up situation, 2 point conversion, stuff like that we worked on yesterday. And now today, as day three, it's the deload day. So for us, we call that the no sweat day. It's the special teams walkthrough. The main focus is on special teams today. And tomorrow, on day four, we have what we call fast day, which is basically reactivating the nervous system. Like starters are going to have between 5 to 10 plays. It's a very short practice of probably 60 to 75 minutes.
Fantastic. Coach, big Friday night. I know it's always huge between McGill and Concordia, so best of luck this Friday. Um, Friends of McGill football, just to shout out, we're going starting back up the QB luncheons. It'll be again, the next session will be next Thursday, September 11th.
Yep.
And we look forward to seeing lots of Friends of McGill football and the present players and your coaches out there next
Yep.
Thursday. Good luck this Friday versus Concordia, Coach. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Andy.
Have a great week.